Sinead, welcome back.
Thanks.
We're going to talk all things yoga, practice, breathing. So following on from our last conversation, living with a long-term illness and things like that, how has that impacted your own training?
A lot. It has impacted it a lot. So initially, when I was in chemo, obviously I was doing yoga with yourself, and we were just saying there that it was really hard, and I had underestimated how fatiguing treatment would be and how impactful it would be on the body, and how hard your yoga was, Daryl, and how amazing it was to be able to do it. But it is hugely impactful. Like the fatigue, as I was saying earlier, it's a weariness that you can't really explain, where your head could be quite busy, but your body is exhausted. And even the simplest of tasks can be really difficult. So I went from, as I was saying, when I was diagnosed, I was very much postpartum, and I had just started my training journey back to finding my way again when I was diagnosed, and I was flying it. I was training, I was doing great. And then you're just stopped in your tracks, and you're literally, I remember my consultant saying to me when he met me, for the duration of your treatment, I want you out walking 30 minutes a day. And I rolled up my sleeves and I said, absolutely, no problem. I can do that, no bother. And I distinctly remember him saying to me, when you're in the depths of treatment, 30 minutes is going to feel really difficult. And my gosh, he was not lying. I remember dragging my feet around the yard outside our house, counting up to 30 minutes just to get to 30 minutes and making sure I got to 30 minutes. But it was tough going, purely just with the physical fatigue from treatment. So I went from a high level of HIIT training, would have been my go-to always. So I went from a real high level of HIIT training to walking around the yard whilst in treatment, doing yoga with yourself every Tuesday morning. That was my other sort of regime that I had, and that was a great motivation just to get up, get out, do something. And that was as much as I was at when I was in chemotherapy. And then when we finished chemotherapy, I was still doing yoga with yourself. I think we did it for about 18 months, I think, until I went back to work. And I was still walking, and that was the level that I stayed at until I decided to go back to basketball after a 20-year absence.
What did you do?
And chemotherapy. And decided, sure, we'll just go back to basketball. And tore both my calves in the first 6 months. Sure, I look back now and I go, what was I doing? I finished chemo in the June, decided to go back to basketball in the December. Sure, thought it was great, never thought anything of it. Was able for it, cardiac wise, or the cardio output absolutely fine, but tore muscles left, right and centre.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't realise that the muscles are weak and the brain is fine and the body feels okay, but we don't realise we've lost the strength and
we're 20 years older as well. Yeah.
That doesn't help.
It doesn't help, no. But I gradually built it up, and to be fair, with the basketball, the main thing was for my cardiac health. I wasn't kind of doing it for, sort of for the, what's the word, for the glory that comes with it. It was mostly for the cardiac health and bone density and that kind of thing. And I maintained that then until, like I said, last July, when we had to change treatment again, and all of that came to a halt again because the treatment was so hard to adjust to. So I did no training again from July until January. The most, I was even lucky if I got a walk in. But what happens then is, along with the tiredness, you're nearly compounding it with your mindset. So you've gone from being really active, fighting, motivated, wanting to get back into stuff, to then your body has to adjust physiologically to a new treatment. It's now not your first line of treatment, it's your second. So your body's having to adjust to that. And then you're in the cycle of fatigue, and you're kind of going, when can I sit down? So I spent 6 months going around the house, doing my jobs, going, when can I sit down?
Right.
So it's only since January, going back to work, that I kind of came back into the world of exercise again, where I've joined a fitness trainer one-on-one and changed that mindset of using every opportunity as an opportunity to move my body. So she has very much guided me on just work on 10 minutes of movement a day. Doesn't matter what it is, don't think about it, just do it. So we started on 10 minutes, and that's walking. We've gone up to 15 minutes. I've trained as a yoga instructor since then. which has increased obviously how often I do my yoga. I've returned, I am a Pilates teacher, but I'm not teaching at the moment, but I've returned to Pilates classes and I do that once a week. So all of those small little things have contributed since January to now, just getting back onto the bandwagon of exercise.
And I know you teach a class, a yoga class.
Yes.
On a Thursday. How do you find the teaching of the class when you're going through treatment, and does that change weekly, or how you're feeling?
Absolutely. So generally, fine. We go in, we do the class, no problem. I have learned through doing, the day after treatment, we don't do balance. So we try not to do any, I try not to do any balance poses, because I am so fatigued that actually it doesn't do me any good, and I don't feel the quality of movement that I'm also demonstrating is appropriate, say, for my class. So I'd rather do something for them where they get a good demonstration and they get good quality of teaching as well. Now we can build in adaptations and add props and everything, but I tend actually just to avoid it, and I focus more on what I'm able for on that day. So typically a day after treatment, which would have been for me last Thursday, we'd be working on lymphatic drainage, a lot of breath work, slow, gentle movement. There can be a dynamic element to it, but we're not doing it with any sort of vigor. It's slow, gentle, and we're moving into every pose with purpose, grounding and breathing, making sure we're keeping that circular sort of motion of moving and breathing going all the time.
And that would probably be the way you do your own yoga at home. It's probably more breath work, more slow, a bit more yin.
Yeah.
As opposed to
a little bit yin, wouldn't be restorative in terms of sitting into the poses for a rather long time or using lots of bolsters, or typical yin, but it would be slower, slow moving, really focusing, checking in with the breath.
And how have you found adapting? I suppose you're adapting the class not only for yourself, depending on how you feel, but obviously you have to adapt it for your clients coming in for different illnesses. Have you had any sort of cancer patients coming in?
So I haven't had any oncology patients into my class, but again, I suppose through my work, I see them typically post-op. Now it would be immediately post-op, and we would have a program that we would work through that isn't too dissimilar to what we would do in yoga in terms of adaptations.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you're looking at, say if you were, again, being specific, to breast cancer, and you're looking at your oncology patients, say from a breast cancer perspective, and anybody who's had maybe some work done across the chest where you're maintaining shoulder mobility, you're maintaining tissue flexibility, all of those things are really, really important. So we would typically be looking at movements for the shoulder, and this is in line obviously with consultant advice, because patients are having different types of things done, which means their restrictions can be different. But the program, say immediately post-op, that we can carry into yoga would be the same. So you're looking at bringing, maintaining shoulder mobility to 90 degrees for the first couple of weeks. You're looking at maintaining shoulder shrugs, neck and head movement, shoulder blade mobility. And then to adapt your yoga to that, you're basically taking any movement and creating security, safety, grounding and confidence in order for them to achieve that. So you might adapt the position, you might adapt where the hands or the arms, the height, depending on what you're doing.
See, people won't be coming to yoga unless they have their consent from their consultant.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so to make sure that they can they can move from there. And then obviously not just oncology patients, but you have people with just injuries or people suffering from all kinds of stuff. That you have to adapt. So you kind of look at them during the class, see who's there, see what they need, and just sort of run from there and see. And see
so typically before if they're new with me, I'll always do a screening with them for any injuries, past medical history that might be relevant to the class, and I also ask them what do they want to achieve, because that's also really important. And then we take it week on week, and like say even this morning I had a lady who just mental capacity, big heavy load in the head this morning, so we did a lot of grounding work where a lot of our poses had both feet and hands on the floor, and just keeping it really safe, secure, focusing on the breath, gentle movement, and spent about 20 minutes in Savasana at the end and did a lot of meditation and just breath work. And it is just adapting and using a prop if we need it maybe during the class, and just checking in on quality of movement and alignment. And basically I always say to my ladies, and they're predominantly ladies, is to just meet yourself where you're at. Don't worry about how it looks, don't worry about the form, just meet yourself where you're at. And I can always go around, and with their permission adjust accordingly. But as long as they're comfortable in getting what they need, the rest we can figure out.
You can do. And you find then that a lot of them come in for the physical stuff, but probably need the mental stuff.
Absolutely. A lot of it is making the time to go, which is exactly what that lady said to me this morning, actually. It was the hardest thing was to get there this morning. And then once she got there, she was great.
Yeah.
And allowing yourself the time to be, which, as you know, I found very hard when we were in yoga, because historically for me, I would go to a yoga class. It was historically Ashtanga I would go to, so it's real intense, regimented. And as soon as we hit the breath work or the relaxation, Sinead's gone out the door, was gone. Because my head was too busy for it.
It was quite common.
It was, yeah. So, and now it's my favourite part of the whole thing is lying down on the floor. I'm like, when can we lay down? It's the best bit. And actually being comfortable with just being.
Yes.
And just being present and being comfortable with that, which I now realise is what I was struggling with.
Yeah, no, it's important. Yeah, once it's explained to them why you're doing it.
Exactly.
And the benefits of it.
And the benefits of it. And acknowledging it as a, that if it is an issue, that's okay. And again, just meet yourself where you're at. And
which is important. Because again, fatigue is a huge thing. And, we went through the whole COVID thing. People have viruses. So people come with different things, and their level of activity, what they think in their head, is completely different to what their physical body is able for. Yeah, and as we know with cancer, particularly cancer-related fatigue, it gets better with activity. So for myself in the last, say up until January, I was in that cycle of treatment-related fatigue, and the mindset was matching the fatigue. It wasn't really wanting to get out of it. Now there is a level of adaptation as well, and I allowed myself that time just to survive it. But actually what I have found is I've gone from an 8-day recovery initially down to a 4-day. And even with the 4-day recovery, now having started my return to exercise, that fatigue, I'm in treatment on a Wednesday. I'll give a yoga class on a Thursday. I take Imogen to class to a dance class on a Saturday, and I go for a walk. And if I have to pull myself out of bed, I will still get that walk in. That's exercise done for 2 of those 4 days. And then I'm back to work again on the Monday. Right.
So I might be wiped for the rest of the day, but the mindset, but also that fatigue does lift.
Okay. So
specific to cancer with activity.
So you have to push through.
Have to push through.
That's
to a certain degree. It's obviously not pushing through to the detriment of your health, where you're, go run 5 kilometres and then you're off your feet for a week after. I mean that it's finding the balance. It's knowing that, the rest of the afternoon I'm going to spend in bed now probably.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of, as where people don't want to go through that sort of cold turkey period where we just want to I don't want to do anything, but it'll be fine. But we don't want to push through those bad times.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't want to do that.
It's the discomfort of it, I think. And it's probably the unknown too, to a certain degree maybe. Because again, when you think about fear and control and security and vulnerability, you're trying to weigh up where do I sit in all of this, and what's going to benefit me and what's not, and what if I do it? Because mine for a lot of the last 6 months was fear. I was like, well, what if I do this and I'm worse? It's already taken me 8 days to recover. Sure, I'll be 2 weeks and then I'm back in again. And then you're facing going back in again in the anticipation of it, when actually it would make you better. I'd be better off for it.
You have to do the couple of weeks first to build that base.
Exactly, yeah.
To get you to
get into the mindset and get into the habit. Exactly. Yeah,
and I think that's the hard bit.
Yeah.
Convincing people, but that's why I believe in baby steps.
Absolutely.
Like small, easy, little bite-sized things that we can all do, rather than which I think some yoga classes don't do.
Yeah.
We're doing sun salutation. Everyone just follows on. So it's just why I think, for yourself going through the treatment and having it the way you'd be able to adapt a class, because some days you're probably wiped.
Absolutely.
You just want to do Savasana for
all of it.
For all of it. And I think that's important, because having the empathy of what your clients are going through when they walk through the door and know that person's wrecked.
Exactly, and reading the room.
Yeah.
Just reading the room, and it is funny how I would say maybe a little bit more intuitive I've become to that, where you can, rather than going in with my own agenda and going, this is my class today. I had a whole class this morning and the person who turned up to me was not able for my class this morning, and we chilled and did something completely different off the cuff, which is lovely and really liberating. Does a lot for the confidence, but it's just reading the room and, like you said, taking baby steps and acknowledging that it is okay. You don't have to be sweating buckets and burning up.
And I think it's important as well that with a long-term illness, if you're going to have it for a long period of time,
longevity is key.
You don't need to bull through stuff.
Absolutely.
If it takes you a couple of years.
Yeah, and coming back to what you want to invest your energy in and your time in and what you want to give to it. There's no point burning yourself out either.
And how much would you say in your class then, on a normal one, would you give to breath work and things like that?
So normally for breath work, I would do 5 minutes at the beginning, and then we did 20 minutes this morning. Typically it's about 15 minutes of either just a savasana with their own breathing or a guided breath work. So it could be 15, 20 minutes at the end and 5 at the start.
Which is plenty, which is a lot.
It is, yeah.
And it's trying to get them to do 30 seconds of that at home at some stage during the week would
Absolutely.
be. Because I think what a lot of people I find with classes is they love it in the class.
Yeah.
And then they just don't do it again.
Yeah, because it's the environment.
Yeah.
They've taken them, so it's that dedicated time to this is what I'm going to do for the hour. And it is hard to build it into home, I think.
So I'd say as well, I know we talked earlier that a lot of the asanas that we do, I know you adapt them and rightly so, depending on the injury, what they have, lymphedema. I think that's an important part too, that we're not just doing a set of moves.
Oh gosh, yeah. So say for the oncology patients, again, you're looking at if they've had an operation, where are they post-op? Have they restrictions? What do they feel their restrictions are? Have they got the consent of their consultant to be there? What is the range? Say if we take shoulders, because that's typically what we see. What is the range of movement? So you're just bearing that in mind, and then acknowledging that there are going to be some poses, and put the hand up or keep an eye on them as you're going around and offer those adaptations accordingly as they come up. And that gives a lot of people security, because again, we're looking at feeling almost lost at sea sometimes, I think, when you're going through a cancer journey, because you're vulnerable, you've lost your identity, you've no security, you lack your confidence, and you're kind of going, am I able for this class? Can I do this? You have fear. So to be able to do some really nice poses that feel safe and secure in a safe environment can do wonders for all of those.
And do you do a warm-up for your classes?
I do a warm-up. So we typically do a really slow sun salutation, actually, as a warm-up. And then sometimes we just do lymphatic drainage. Some gentle movements, standing twists and that for a warm-up.
Brilliant.
So
they kind of get everything that they need.
And they get everything that they need, yeah.
And can take it away from them.
Yep.
So I know you're going to demonstrate some stuff for us today that you would do in your class to help people with different abilities and different ailments.
Yeah.
So we look forward to seeing that in a few minutes. But thanks for coming in and just sort of explaining what you do in your classes and how you adapt it a little bit, and hopefully people that do their own yoga either at home or go to a class or especially for any yoga teachers that are watching that need to adapt. I know we'll put your details up underneath this, and I'm sure if anyone has any questions in dealing with coming to your class, or they can get in contact with you.
Oh, absolutely. Please do.
So Sinead, thanks a million. Look forward to your videos.